So two things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about truing up your paperwork, making sure your paperwork is solid, and things you can do just within your paperwork to increase the likelihood that you're not only going to recover dollars that are owed to your business, but also if you send it out to a third-party billing or debt collection agency, it will increase the likelihood that they will be able to recover those funds as well. But we'll also talk about just some standard and enhanced documentation processes that can help with the validating of the debt going forward. Hello everyone, I hope your new year is going great. Hey, what a lot of us like to do when we go into a new year, we say, hey, let's do a better job this year than we did last year. So today I want to talk about some things that we can do with our accounts receivable that can not only increase the amount of collections that we can do in-house, but also reduce the amount of accounts that we have to place with our third-party billing or debt collection partner. So as I've said in previous videos, Regulation F went into effect on November 30th, and most of how that affects first parties, so the original creditor, is when it comes to communication preferences and validation of the debt. So two things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about truing up your paperwork, making sure your paperwork is solid, and things you can do just within your paperwork to increase the likelihood that you're not only going to recover dollars that are owed to your business, but also if you send it out to a third-party billing or debt collection agency, it will increase the likelihood that they will be able to recover those funds as well. But we'll also talk about just some standard and enhanced documentation processes that can help with the validating of the debt going forward. Also, documentation can help remove some of the obstacles that you might run into when you communicate with the consumer in the future and reduce the amount of discrepancies you might run into when it comes to communication misunderstandings or when it comes to recording transactions. So first, let's talk about paperwork. So of course, you always want to make sure your paperwork is clear, it's easy to understand, there's no uncertain terms, and it's really just in plain English. But one thing I've mentioned in the past that has become even more important today since the Regulation F requirements is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act express consent. And because a lot of what Regulation F requires is to honor the consumer's communication preferences, so the express consent will allow you to do that more effectively. So again, the express consent is language that you want to have in the contract that the consumer will initial or sign off on, giving you permission to communicate with them on mobile devices. But other language that may be in contracts that I haven't talked about in a little while is adding of collection fees and asking for attorney's fees. Now, this can be a little confusing because verbiage that you have in your contract, you may be asked by your third-party billing and debt collection agency to add specific, exact verbiage to your agreement. Now, why would they require specific, exact verbiage? Well, remember, your third-party billing and debt collection agency typically follows case law pretty closely. So not only do they have experience in court themselves, where they've had success with specific verbiage, but they probably got that verbiage from following case law. So if they're asking you to add something to your contract or update or change the existing verbiage that you have on that, when it comes to collection fees and attorney's fees, it's probably because they have historical data that shows that what they're providing to you is going to be the most effective way to add those things or ask for those things in the future as they attempt to collect the debt. So anything that you can put into your agreement that has anything to do with the Telephone Consumer Protection Act and communication preferences, along with making sure that your collection fee and attorney fee verbiage is the most current will certainly help you in recovering dollars that are owed to your business. Something else you want to make sure is that you have easy access to paperwork, because another big highlight from Regulation F is validation. So if you haven't already, if you get a wet signature, that means the consumer signed in person with ink, then you want to, or the best way to assure that you have immediate access is to digitize those documents. So scan them, make a digital copy, and attach it to the consumer's file if you have like a CRM. That's customer management software. So again, make sure the language is the most current in your contract, and make sure you have easy access to those documents going forward. The next thing we want to talk about is just documentation in general. Now, what are some ways we can improve when it comes to documenting the accounts? Well, the first thing you want to do, if you're not doing it already, if you want to improve your documentation practices, anytime you communicate with the consumer, you want to make a note who you spoke with. What was the method of communication? Were you on the phone? Was it a letter you got in the mail? Did you talk to them in person? Did you talk to the consumer? Did you talk to the cosigner? In some cases, consumers may have someone that speaks on their behalf that they've given you pre-authorization to discuss their financial matters with. But let's say that that's the person, or it's one of the others, the consumer or the cosigner. An example is they may call you on the phone, and if you have caller ID, be sure to write down and document the number that you spoke with them on. Because when it comes to communication preferences in relation to Regulation F, going forward, we have to be very precise, and there are rules attached to phone numbers that we communicate with consumers on. So the person you talk to, the time and day that you spoke with them, or time and date, and the method of communication. The next thing you want to be very good when it comes to documentation is transactions. So if they've made a payment to you on an account that they have with you, you want to make a note of who made the payment. Did they use a check, credit card, debit card? Did they pay cash? The time and date the transaction was made. And backing up a little bit, you want to have easy access to that ledger, because again, documentation will help you with the validation of that debt in the future. So again, make sure your paperwork is straight or the most current, and make sure you are documenting any action that you do on that account, especially when it comes to communications. But I think I've said enough about that for today. If you have any questions or you want to talk a little more about it, then give me a call, send me an email. If you didn't understand something or you need additional information on something that we spoke about today, I'll be happy to provide you with some resources. Or if you just want to talk something out, I'd be happy to oblige there as well. But as always, be safe, be well, don't take any unnecessary risk, and I hope to talk with a lot of you soon. Take care. Hello, Sean Martin, Director of Business Engagement. So if you like this video, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. But don't forget to visit our website, check out the services we have to offer. Essentially, Partners Financial Services is a full-service accounts receivable management firm. So we specialize in billing, loan servicing, and debt collections. Some of the industries that we serve are the education industry, everything from a proprietary school all the way up to a college, university, higher educational level. Also banking, financial institutions, credit unions, and then a handful of miscellaneous industries that we do some debt collections for. So yeah, give us a call, send us an email, let us know what you have in mind, and we can see if our services can line up with your objectives and help you get in a better place than you are today.